Guys.
You're good. Okay. We're so excited to have everybody here tonight. I do apologize for my voice. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I do feel a lot better than what I sound. So excited to have Joanne on our call tonight. Joanne, say your last name for us so I make sure it's right.
Bertalan.
Bertalan. That's
Mhm.
not what I was going to say.
It's okay.
So we're so excited to have Joanne on here. I first saw Joanne on stage at Leaders Retreat. And immediately I felt something. I felt a connection, even though we had never met or never spoke. I was just immediately drawn to you, Joanne.
In Cancun?
Yes,
Is
in
that,
Cancun.
oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that was just a few months ago. And since then, I've had a few conversations with Joanne, and we have tried to schedule something even prior to convention. But this is a busy lady, and she's been traveling a lot and so forth. So we knew we had to wait till after convention. So I'm so glad that you were able to accommodate this call tonight. And we're looking forward to it. So I hope you all got your something to take notes. And if time allows, we're going to have a Q&A at the end, or you can drop questions into the chat as well, and we'll try to address them, whatever. Okay, so Joanne, one of the things I admire about you is your passion and your excitement. And Joanne has built a diamond business. She's gone to the top. And when I've watched her and seen a couple of her training calls, I thought she just makes it look so easy and so simple. And so that's exactly why we wanted her on here tonight. Joanne, we have women on this call who are reaching for gold, senior gold, emerald, ruby, all of the ranks. I'm personally striving for emerald, as others are on this call. And so there are some also on this call that are rebuilding, trying to re-rank, and gold rush. All that is very exciting and enticing to them. And so we would love for you to pour into us tonight, and thank you for taking the time to invest into this team tonight. We're so excited. Now, I've heard your story, and maybe others have as well, but I know there's some on the call tonight who have never heard your story. Feel free. I'm going to turn it over to you for a few minutes to share your story, and then we'll get into some questions. You go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sharon. Well, it's my honor and it's my privilege to share with you all because what's happened for me can happen for you. And my story actually began, my journey began 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I went to the doctor. I thought I was healthy as could be. I ate healthy. I took vitamins from the health food store, um, and I ate healthy and I exercised and I went for my yearly. And at my yearly, I found out my doctor found a nodule on my neck. I didn't know it was there. I never felt it. I didn't have any symptoms. But long story short, she discovered that I had papillary thyroid cancer, which was a shock. It rocked my world. It rocked my daughters, all of us, my husband. And she said, no worries. You're going to get it out and you'll be fine because thyroid cancer is the best kind of cancer to have. Well, let me tell you, there is no good kind of cancer. And it didn't go the way she said. The first doctor botched the surgery. So I had a second one. I had to go get a second opinion in Tampa. I live in Central Florida. And I had another surgery 6 months later. And I don't know if you know, but they say the thyroid is the brain of your body. And I felt like I had lost my brain, not once, but twice. And I was a hot mess. I was bloated. I was gaining weight. I was depressed. I had no energy. I thought, is this my life now? About that time, my daughter, Marianne Anderson, who is a diamond, and some of y'all may know her, she had started the products for her fifth baby that she'd had, and she was dealing with postpartum. And she said, Mom, why don't you try these products? What have you got to lose? And I said, You're right. I have nothing to lose. So I did. And when I tell you that I was and I still am a devoted 100% sold out triplex girl, I know it's the gut health system now, but it was the triplex. And when Marianne laid it out for me, she ordered me everything and I started taking it. And I kept taking it. I took it. I have taken it, you guys, every single day for 7 years. When I go on vacation, I take my triplex. If I'm not feeling well, I take my triplex. I haven't missed a day. And I'm going to talk to you about consistency in a minute.
Mhm.
But I can tell you within less than 30 days, I began to feel a difference. In less than 30 days, I began to have energy. Now, we have, let me see, 14, no, I might have 14 coming, but I'm not supposed to tell you, but you don't know her, so that's okay. And it's not Marianne. We have 13 grandchildren. And now I have more energy than our grandchildren. My husband and I feel like we're aging backwards. And the list of all the symptoms that we show a prospect, I was just doing a little pop-up table yesterday and I asked this lady, how many on here do you have? And, it has everything from autoimmune to weight gain to no energy. I mean, everything. And oh, she was circling them all. And I said, 7 years ago, I had all of them too. Ask me how many I have now. And she just kind of looked at me. I said, zero, zero. And people my age should have at least half of them because they come with aging. But those of you that were at convention heard the amazing doctor talk about how preventative these products are. And so I believe as I've aged over the past 7 years, I have not experienced the symptoms that so many people do because of the triplex,
Mhm.
because of the weed, seed, and feed. It's my favorite. I'm in love with it. So I took my products and then Marianne wanted me to share, but I was still active in another network marketing business. I was at the top of that company, and there was a non-compete, a strong non-compete. And we thought for a minute maybe I could do it on the DL, maybe I could just, share with neighbors. But as we read the fine print, what would have happened, I would have lost the family security retirement that they had promised me if they had decided to terminate me because I was promoting another business. So I got involved in other things. Actually, my husband and I downsized twice from where we were, and I got involved. I retired from the business, but I didn't immediately think, oh, well, I need to start sharing Plexus because I had gotten really involved in the neighborhood and I was um, hosting the neighborhood groups. I was teaching Bible study. I was running after our grandchildren. I wasn't looking for anything else until Marianne invited me 3 summers ago when convention was in Nashville. And she said, Mom, why don't you go with me? You can babysit Sadie, who was 14 at the time and didn't need babysitting. And she said to me, I really was not trying to recruit you. And I kind of sort of believe her. I'm not sure. But she took me. And I think those of you that heard my story know that when I walked in the hotel, I spotted Sonia Dudley. Well, I knew Sonia Dudley had been in my other company. And Sonia had listened to my training tapes. They were tapes back then. And so she came up and was going crazy and said, "Oh, can I tell so and so and so and so and so and so?" These were other national sales directors with me in my other business. And so I knew right then, this is going to be something special. I could feel it. And then the opening ceremonies, and John Maxwell began to teach. And John Maxwell is one of my favorite mentors. I have studied him, I've used his training. I heard him speak in person in the other business that I was in for, did I tell you, 25 years? And so when John
Mm.
Maxwell took the stage and he began teaching his heart out, I mean, he was going strong. And I sat there and something inside me, I began to think, have I aged out? As I watched him. Oh, and he's older than I am. So that made me really ask the question, have I aged out? Because I missed working with other people, helping them find their gifts, helping them be the person that God called them to be. And I thought, wow, I love these products. I've been on these products forever. I believe in these products. How hard could it be? I didn't tell Marianne right then because I got a little teary eyed as I sat there thinking about, could I do this? But I want to tell you, deep inside, right then, right there, I made a decision. I didn't tell Marianne, but I felt God was calling me to diamond. I didn't know
Mm.
what that meant. I thought, oh, this is going to be easy peasy. I did it in my other business. Well, I'll tell you that story in a minute. But um, I think it was on the way home. We were flying home, and I said to her, "Do you think I've aged out?" And she looked at me like, "What are you talking about? Aged out of what?" And she shared this on stage, age out of yoga. What do you mean? And so when she realized what I was asking, she said, "Of course not. Let's go." So we did. And I jumped in. And there, I had a lot to learn, and I'm going to share that with you in just a minute. But 8 months after I started, and that was 2.5 years after I started, well, 8 year, I'm sorry, 8 months after I started, I ranked Emerald. Okay. And then I went up and down.
Mhm.
Share this on stage. I went up and down. And I know now what it was. And I'm going to share this with you in a minute. I can't tell you the rest of my training, but I went up and down for about a year. Well, let me just tell you, I was living in fear. I was fearful of sharing the opportunity because I had branding from my other company. And I knew there were a lot of people that wouldn't understand what I was doing, why I was doing, why I was coming out of retirement. And so it held me back from being loud and proud about the opportunity. So I went up and down. And then, um, let's see, it was about last November. No, I'm sorry, last August. I'm not very good with remembering all these dates, guys. I got to write them down. It was last August. Okay. And then I watched my daughter, Marianne, take my other daughter, who's in Virginia, as a guest to the Emerald Extravaganza. And I missed it. And part of me was didn't even realize that I had missed it. I guess I was thinking, oh well, there's still time, there's still time. And then there wasn't. And so I watched them go on this trip to Alaska. I acted like it didn't matter. But I'm going to tell you, I was bummed. I was really bummed. It did matter. I went from being sad to being mad. And I was like, I'm over this. I'm not going up and down anymore. Marianne, about that time, said to me, Mom, do you remember in your other business what you did when you would get frustrated and you would feel like you needed to rebuild or build? I knew what she was talking about. It was my perfect 10.
Mhm.
And back in that business, I'm just going to say the business. This isn't this isn't on Facebook and corporate. It was Mary Kay Cosmetics. And I, we, I started the Perfect 10 where you had to hold 10 parties in a week. In a
Wow.
week. Well, Marianne said, Mom, why don't you hold 10 wellness events with Plexus in a month? She didn't even say a week. She said a month. And I said, Are you daring me? Because I will. And I can, and I must, and I did. And it turned the trajectory of my business. So this was August, and then they were on the trip in September, and I started holding my perfect 10. And I'll tell you more about the details of that. And then I kept going because I booked from the parties and I kept holding. And then in November, I went from a whole year, you guys, of up and down. And in November, I ranked Sapphire. Holding that perfect 10 turned the trajectory of everything. And then I kept going. And 4 months later, this past March, I ranked Diamond. So I want you to know whatever is in your heart to do, you can do it if you desire it and you are willing to work for
Mm,
it. And I want to give you three C's. C, like in comfort zone, okay? Three C's that made the difference for me. And the first C is comfort zone. I knew when I started, I was going to have to step out of my comfort zone. First of all, you guys, it was humbling. It was a big comfort zone to join another company and start at the bottom when I
mm.
had been at the top. And I still was. When you retire, you still maintain that position and you're paid for 15 years.
Wow.
That's not forever. And Marianne used to say to me, What are you going to do when your retirement runs out? Because I know you're going to be going strong. And I said, Oh, I'll think about that tomorrow. Well, when I decided to start sharing, I started thinking about it. And I thought, maybe this is the answer. But it was very humbling, you guys, because I had been the mentor. I had been Marianne's mentor because she was a sales director with me for a long time, 14 years. And she didn't leave Plexus. She didn't leave Mary Kay for Plexus. She left Mary Kay because she had her fifth baby and it was just too much. We didn't have social media. Nothing was virtual. It was all in person. So anyway, um, I had to be teachable and I had to be coachable. And I was. I wanted to learn everything, but no longer was I the mentor. I was the learner. I was the student. And I told everybody, you know, this is a different picture. I'm the mother, but I'm the student and she's the boss now. I used to be the boss, but now she is. But it was all good. But let me tell you, so part of stepping out of my comfort zone and being teachable and coachable was learning social media. I had gotten off of social media when I retired from the other business because my branding was all senior national sales director. And I got off. And Marianne's like, Mom, you're going to have to get back on and you're going to have to go live and you're going to have to use it. And so one of the first things we did was we did a live and she did it with me. And I thought, oh, well, that was easy. I did that. And she's like, now you're going to do it again tomorrow. And actually, from that first live, I had people that knew me from the other business that reached out. And so that was really exciting to me. But you guys, learning social media has been so out of my comfort zone because I still have that branding. And I still have people that misunderstand. And I still have people that question, why would you come out of retirement? They don't understand that my retirement, is going to end when my 15 years runs out. I have a few more, but not that many. And so I knew I was being judged. I knew there were people that didn't agree with me, and that bothered me.
Mhm.
But I realized that if I was going to continue to grow and be the leader that God called me to be, I had to say, cancel, cancel to the negativity. I had to say, not today, devil, not today. And I had to move forward.
Right.
And so I did. And I can't tell you that every day was super easy. It wasn't. I had to feel the fear and do it anyway. And I had to learn how to post, you guys. I really didn't know how to post on social media because the posting that I did when I used it before, I had an assistant and she did all that. And so Marianne taught me. I know I drove her crazy because I was always asking, is this okay? Should I say this or should I do this? And she finally said to me, it's not perfection. Just be real, be yourself. Don't worry about being perfect. So when I finally stopped worrying about being perfect, then it was easier for me. And I began to connect with people everywhere. Now, I know how to connect in person. And so I invited my neighbors over and I did a sip and see. It was still out of my comfort zone because I'd never done a sip and see. Oh, and this was the other thing. You guys would think I would know everything about the gut health system because I've been on it for 7 years. I didn't. I knew that I took the pink drink, BioCleanse, and a probiotic, but I couldn't tell you what each of them did. Wasn't that great? And so when Marianne came and helped me do the first sip and see, I'm like, how in the world am I going to learn all that? How in the world am I going to be able to share that? And I want to tell you how I learned it. Practice. It doesn't make perfect, but practice helps you be consistent and it builds your confidence. And so I think she did one for me, and then we did one together, and she threw it over to me and she said, and Joanne, tell us all about it. Was still the triplex. Tell us all about it. And I had some cheat sheets that I would use. But the other way that I learned, I don't know if you all do this, but we do a Zoom every week that is Meet Plexus. And one of the Diamond Collective diamonds will share all about an overview of the products and the opportunity. I was on every week, no matter what. I still am. And I listened and I learned. And so, whatever your diamond has out there for you, Krista, you guys take advantage of it. Whatever your senior Ruby is doing for you, take advantage of it, you guys. It is the best tool to learn. And it helped me. It helped me build my confidence and it helped me learn. The second C, consistency. And okay, I was consistent with the products and I knew the importance, so it was really easy for me to share that because I could share this is not a magic drink. This is not a magic potion. This is not a magic formula, but you will see magical results if you will stay consistent. So that was super easy. Okay, I was learning a new opportunity to be consistent, and that was with the business. Because when I did my first post, I thought, great, I'm done. I did a good job. And then when Marianne said, no, you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again and again. And so I realized that every day I had to step out of my comfort zone and I had to be consistent starting conversations. And I started a lot of conversations at my grandchildren's school. I started conversations at my church. I started conversations in my neighborhood, and I started conversations through my connections on Facebook. And to my surprise, let's see, at two of my jewels, two of my emeralds came from a reconnect on Facebook. And so many times, you guys, I would post and I would think, oh, that doesn't even sound good. Oh, that's not even. And I didn't post my face in the beginning because I just felt like I wasn't comfortable. Well, now I show my face all the time. And so that makes such a difference. And I got consistent and I made sure that every day I was in conversations. Mary Ann taught me something called 10 and play, and it's 10 conversations every day. Now, that's not messages. It might take 50 messages to get 10 conversations, or going out my door and walking with my neighbor and starting a conversation, which I found in-person conversations were pretty easy because everywhere I went, somebody was saying, "Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I just don't have any energy." And all I would say is, "Oh my goodness, you've never tried the pink drink?" And there would be a conversation. But I learned early on that I had to stay consistent. And so I did. And I was consistent with all the things, holding sip and sees. I believe there's really three tools that we can use to build our business and help others build their business. We can do it on Facebook Messenger. We can do Facebook Messenger wellness events, which I know when I started, that was a thing and people were doing them right and left. But now, Alita and Marianne and myself have kind of brought back the in person and doing it was my goal to do a sip and see in person every week. We found a coffee shop. I recruited the owner manager. She got on the products and she wasn't really interested in building, but she said we could use the upstairs table and bring people and do a sip and see anytime we wanted. And so that's what I would do and invite people to come have coffee and sip and see. And I did them in my home as well. And then Zoom. I love Zoom. And, so many of my newbies lived out of town, so they weren't able to do an in person. So we would do a Zoom launch and share about the products. And so every new person that I brought in, I ask them to either host, be one of my hostesses and host a messenger event or host a Zoom or host a sip and see. And I told them, I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll do all the work. All you have to do is use the invitation that I'm going to make for you and invite your friends. Just invite your friends and I'll take it from there. And, some of these people were not interested in building a business. And I would just say, I want to help you cover the cost of your products. Could you get excited about that? And they'd be like, sure. And so I'd ask them to be a hostess and they would, and they did. Okay. So consistency is super important, you guys. Use the tools that are out there. And of course, Plexus has all kinds of podcasts and trainings and Zooms every week you can take advantage of. The third is courage. Now, you might think, what in the world? Why wouldn't I have courage after 25 years in this business? But one of the things that also held me back was my age. I felt like people would just laugh at me or just go, she's crazy. And so it took me a minute to begin to embrace that my age was my best friend and learning new things at my age and being successful because like I shared on stage, I don't know if I shared this, but retirement is overrated. Retirement is not even in the Bible. And my husband and I were having this conversation the other day. I said, do you remember right before I started Plexus, how I would get kind of impatient with you because my husband is a retired pastor and a retired engineer. And so he does some part-time engineering with our son-in-law and he does some part-time ministry. And so I was like, you just don't have any time for me because you're doing all these other things. Well, guess what? I joined him. And so now we have to be really good with our schedule because we're both helping people and we're both working a business. And I can't imagine, you guys, what else would I do at my age? Look at John Maxwell. He's older than I am. He's almost 80. And he says he's living his best life now. John, I'm with you. And so I had to have the courage to step out of my age bracket because you guys, like I said on stage, it does not matter if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it doesn't matter because you can do it at any age. And I believe that every age and stage needs these products. And some people are getting started a little bit too late, but at least they're getting started. So, courage means commitment. Courage means committing to what you say. You know, you've heard talk is cheap, and it can be really cheap when you're in a network marketing business because our walk has to match our talk. And I believe that commitment is working with focus, a decision every day, not emotion. Because if we're working from emotion, it's going to be up and down. And every time someone quits, or every time someone gets upset, or every time we get ghosted, that doesn't feel good. And we can let that hold us back. That's emotion because we cannot control what other people do or say, but we only can control what we do and say. And so, like I said, when I get no's, which I do, and when I get ghosted, I'm like, cancel, cancel, baby. And I just move on because someone is waiting. And I've always said, some will, some won't. So what? Someone is waiting. And we want to find those people. And you guys, I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm not really sure what all this is, but I've been getting these messages on Facebook about even political people are studying the gut and finding that we might have been misled by our doctors. And, I can't even stand it. Every time I talk to somebody, they tell me about all their meds. And then I tell them about my customers who've been able to get off their meds. And I believe that working from commitment is sharing with the scary people, the people who intimidate us, the people who we think have all the answers, or maybe they're just scary, they're intimidating. But we want to step out of our comfort zone and be courageous and talk to them. People are going to let us down, you guys, but numbers never will. And so, this business is a law of averages, and it takes a lot of connecting to make the connection. And so you can kind of figure out your own law of averages and see how that rolls, but don't stop just because you get a no or just because you get ghosted. Don't doubt in the dark what God has shown you in the light. Push through the hard. And I am so thankful that at 73 years old, I have a business that allows my husband not to, because as a retired pastor, he didn't have a retirement. And before Plexus, he was counting every dime, we need to save this, we need to save this. And we're always living on a budget. And it feels so free to be able to not be stuck to a budget, to have the freedom to go take our granddaughter on a cruise that we did 8 days for her graduation. I'm taking two grandchildren to the beach this week and not worry about can we pay for it. And I'm a giver and I love to share and I love to be able to give away to help ministries, to help my grands, to help my children. And I can do it because of this business. We're not worried anymore about retirement. And we can take trips if we want to, but Plexus gives them to us all free. So, if it's free, it's for me. But this has become the gift of a lifetime, the products, the opportunity. And I don't know where you are in your business, in your life, but I want to ask you a question. If you knew you could not fail, what would you set as your goal for the next, how many days do we have left? About 9? Because you can turn the trajectory of your business. You may be knocking on the door of gold or senior gold or ruby or senior ruby or even emerald. And you guys, you can accomplish so much. On my last day, I'm just going to share this with you. Let me see if I can remember these numbers. On my last, maybe it was my second to last day of ranking diamond, we still needed over 100 orders to come in. But I believed it and I didn't quit. And I asked everybody. And so, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you set as your goal? Because how you finish June is going to set you up for July and all that's coming with John Maxwell and the gold rush and all the great things. So no matter where you are right now, you can make a decision to work from commitment, not from emotion, and you can turn the trajectory of your business. So if you want to put in the chat what your answer is, I'd love to see it. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you set as your goal? How do you want to finish this month? Oh, I forgot to talk about the Knicks and getting your Knicks. Everybody can do that in 9 days. Everybody can earn your Nike gift card.
It's awesome, Joanne. Okay, so let's put some questions in the chat. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would be your goal?
Re-rank, yay.
So, Joanne, you answered so many of my questions that I had written down. It's like you were in my notes, totally,
Good,
which I
good.
love because, of course, I don't have to repeat. But if answer this one, if you could, I know I didn't ask you these questions in advance. If you were starting over and rebuilding your business, what would your first 90 days look like?
If I was starting over, my first 90 days would look like my first 90 days looked before I'd started.
Right.
And one of the things that I would do, um, if you have been in for a minute and you have customers that have quit, you can use Project Broadcast or you can just do this personally. I would reach out because every day is a new day. And I
Right.
would reach out to those customers and let them know about the new products that have launched since they quit. I go back a lot of times, you guys, and ask customers that quit, that weren't consistent, how are they doing? And have they found anything to help them with, excuse me, their weight loss? And then if they come back and they say, no, I'm still frustrated, I share the slim and trim. And I share we have a new protocol. And I thought of you because I know how badly you wanted weight loss. So I try to, you know, reconnect them with what their health goal was and ask them, how are they doing? And would they be interested in hearing about some new products that we didn't have when they were in? Because I've gotten, oh, I don't know, in 1 month, 20 or more to come back and to restart. And I think it's all in how you word it and use your voice. Oh, I didn't say that. Use your voice, use your voice, use your voice, use your voice. I have a Emerald who she uses her voice so much, she calls everybody. She doesn't even voice message. She calls them on the phone. If I send a text, I follow it up with a voice message so they can hear my passion, so they can hear my concern for them, and I can say, I would really love to help you. So I would do that for sure. Okay. And then on on top of that, if you have anybody that's still on your team, I would ask them if they knew they couldn't fail, what would they want out of this business? Maybe they've lost their passion, their vision, their joy, and say, it's on my heart to run for, and I'd love for you to run with me. I'd love to help you with whatever it was they want that maybe they've lost their vision for. And so that's the past. That's dealing with some of the past. After you've done that, then, okay, everybody has customers. So Sharon, I would go back to every customer, your good customers, the ones that are loving the product. And I tell them, I am in a big contest. You could do this week. You could, maybe it wouldn't be the perfect 10 in 9 days. It could be because you could do two in one day, but you could say five. I'm in a big contest to hold 5 wellness events this week. Now, if you're starting over and you're going to build in 90 days, then every month I would say, I'm in a big contest to hold 10 wellness events. I mean,
Mm.
10 you guys in a month. That's easy peasy. That's like two a week. And then I'd say, here's how we could do it. And I give her the three, him or her, the three options of how they could do it. And I say, would you be willing to be my hostess? And then I explain, all you have to do, like I said, is invite your friends. And then if someone wants to order, I'll put the order under you and you're going to get a thank you bonus from Plexus. And it's this much money, whatever it is that month. And if you don't want it, then I'll give you a gift card as a thank you. But you guys, every VIP that you have knows somebody. They know
Mm.
somebody. And it's just like, I'm sure you've been asked to hold Tupperware parties, to hold jewelry parties, to hold Mary Kay parties. You're just asking someone to hold a wellness party. And you can call it a wellness party, a wellness event. So on top of going back and seeing if there's anything there, then I would start the month. And then if you get those 10 held, every time you hold one, you're going to meet some new people. And then you're going to ask them because you're going to get new VIPs. And every time you get a new VIP, you're going to ask them to be a hostess. And see, asking them to be a hostess takes the fear out of it for them. You're not asking them to commit to a business. Because what I found is many times they get scared off, they're not ready, but they cover the cost of their products and they're like, oh, that was easy. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. It's my accidental gold, who's about to be an intentional jewel. It's not accidental anymore. But um, when I was ranking up, she's one of my best customers, but she is a leader in another direct selling company. And she saw me post about ranking up and she said, I want to help. What could I do? And I said, Kelly, I'm looking for referrals. You can send me referrals. And she sent me one, and then she sent me another. She sent me about 20 referrals. And when I tell you she did nothing else but send the referrals, then she started the chats so that I could chat with her people. That's what she would do. She would say, this is my friend Susie. She's looking for weight loss. Can you help her? That's all she would do, you guys. And I would give her I would give Susie all the information. Then when Susie was ready to order, I put the order under Kelly. Kelly did nothing, nothing. She was my hostess. And then when she realized that she had earned $2,000, she had a little conversation with Marianne and me. And she's like, I'm never going to make this in the business I'm doing. What do I need to do? So now she's embraced the business. I didn't talk to her about the business because I knew she had some non-competes that she had to deal with. Um, so you guys, I just believe when you ask your VIPs to help you, you're helping them. And it takes the pressure off of them and they don't feel like if I'd gone to Kelly and said, hey, listen, I'm going to help you get 20 people and you can rank gold and you can make this money, she wouldn't have done it. But I just said, I'm looking for referrals. And would you help me?
Wow, I love that. That's really good. And I think through all of this, you learn a lot about growth. Um,
Absolutely.
like you grow so much in your confidence. There's probably still some questions coming in the chat.
Here's a great one. Oh, put that one back up there. I was just reading it from Krista, I think. Wait, is it still there? And I just lost it. I'm afraid to push the wrong button and lose you guys. Okay, this is so good. If someone was wanting to rank up or re-rank, how intentional do you need to be every day, every week, going into end of month?
Yeah, and
100%.
let me just tag on to that. That's a question I was going to ask you. If you had 1 hour a day only to focus on your business and be intentional, what would that hour look like? Maybe you could tag along with that other question,
Okay.
whether it's re-ranking or hitting a rank for the first time or just
Okay.
getting started at the gate.
To re-rank, to rank up, you have to be 100% all in.
Right.
And if you're working another job, we used to call it journey of the broke. If you're working another job, you have to find a way to make the time to get in at least minimum 10 new conversations every day. Conversations, not messages. And you know how many messages you're going to have to send out. But 10 new conversations every day. If you're in 10 new conversations every day in 1 week, and you're doing that every day, that is 70 conversations. And I believe out of 10, I really believe you guys, if you're connecting, if you're answering the questions, I don't know. You tell me, Krista, what do you think? I think you are going to sign at least 2 out of 10, if not one out of every three. I just, that's where the magic happens. It's the
Mhm.
conversations. I'm not talking about old conversations. I'm not talking about follow up. You need to spend time doing the follow up. But that's why I can't even say if you can get 10 conversations going in 1 hour, but I don't think so. I think it takes more time. And
Yeah,
so, it might be, I have people that have gone in the bathroom at their work to answer some questions, in their combos. You've got to find a way and make a way because it, if you really want to build a business and if you really want to rank up and re-rank, it takes time, you guys, and it takes commitment, like I was
it
saying.
does. It
It's
does.
not just, here today, here tomorrow. And so that's where I would really look at your goal and does your action match your goal? Because I
Right.
always say we never change the goal, we might change the date. But that's where I believe if you will be intentional every day, starting 10 new conversations between now and the end of the month, you'll be in a very different place. And you will
Right.
go in to next month with momentum. Have y'all heard that word?
Yes,
Momentum is magical. Okay.
it
And,
is.
it's one thing to end a month with so many new VIPs. But if you have new VIPs at the end of the month, that is momentum as you go into the next month because you're going to help those new VIPs. They're going to be hostesses. You're going to get into their network. You guys, it's Sheila Medina's power of three. If we help every new VIP get three, I'm not saying help her work the business. I'm saying help her get three so she can cover the cost of her products. And so think about it. You get your six and you help each one of them get three or even one or two. It will change the momentum. It will change the trajectory, but you have to be intentional and you have to commit to the time. Here's something else that I believe in that I want to share with you all. I don't know where you are with your families, but when I was in my other business and I was running for a big goal, I sat my family down. I didn't have youngsters. And sometimes it's easier with youngsters because they don't know and understand everything. My daughters were elementary, preteen, and high school. And I mean, they knew everything. They knew when mom was gone. They knew everything. And so we would have a family meeting and I would explain to them what I was working for. And I would say to them, when I hit that, this is what it's going to do for you. And I
Right.
remember my first big goal that I hit. We used to go on vacation camping and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fancy. It was on cold, hard floors in a little broken down cabin. And I promised them a dream vacation on the beach. So guess what? They were asking me every day, Mom, where are we? What are we doing? I put a poster board up so they could see it. One of my brand ambassadors did that and had her daughter take the sticky note off as she broke it down to how many orders they needed. Get your family involved. Get your buy-in. That includes your husband. Because I hear this a lot. My husband doesn't want me doing this. He wants me to sit and watch Netflix at night. Well, there is a way to do that very incognito. I've learned it. No, I don't sit and watch Netflix, but maybe on the weekend. But I can send out messages while we're watching. I position myself. So, I mean, every once in a while he'll see it, but my husband is all in, so he's fine. But what I'm saying is, you guys, let them know what's in it for them. Tell them you're going to work for this really big goal in the next 9 days. And when you hit it, this is what we're going to do. Even if it's just we're going to go shopping at the dollar store or we're going to go out to your favorite restaurant. And with your money, you pay for it. And your spouse or your spouse will be all in.
I
So
love
it's so important to get the family on board
that.
because otherwise they're going to pull at you. My daughters learned how to do their own laundry because of this business, and all three of my daughters are entrepreneurs now. I still have a daughter in the other business, and she's a pink Cadillac director. And my middle daughter is a pastor's wife running around in charge of everything. And my daughters, you guys, saw what this business did for them. And they would never work for anybody else. They started as entrepreneurs really young.
That's awesome.
Did
And
that answer, Krista, what you would do in that?
Yes, that was awesome. Thanks, Joanne.
Yes, for sure. Y'all are getting me fired up.
I'm ready to go.
and I know we have been almost an hour, and if anybody has to leave, I understand if you have to check out, but if you're not in a hurry, I don't mind staying here. Marianne, I'm sorry, Marianne. Joanne,
Joey.
if you have to leave, then I understand if you have a time cap.
No, I have another Zoom in about 30 minutes. So
Okay, we're going to wrap this up real quick then.
it's okay.
Um,
But
because
I
there
do
is
want
a
to answer all
difference.
your questions.
Yeah. Is there any more questions in the chat that we have not touched on? Or does anybody want to unmute their mic and ask a question? Please feel free. I'd love to hear from some of you. We've got some brand new runners on this call tonight, and I'm excited
Oh, that's awesome.
to see them here. One thing I do notice in the business, there's a difference between just being busy and then working your business. We can get so busy like with our plan of how we're going to do what we're going to do, but we never execute the plan. But we think because we've got it all written down and we've got a plan that we're working our business, that can fall flat. There's a big difference, right? So
Absolutely.
being productive, like taking that hour, whether it's going or 10 minutes going in the bathroom and sending a message and getting into those conversations, so important. Anybody else with a question? I apologize for my voice.
I think they're ready to run.
They're ready to run. We're ready to wrap this up.
Rock and roll. I think they're
Oh, I
ready to
love
get
that.
in 10 conversations. Yes, I see
Oh.
Melanie is. She's excited.
I'm so
So
happy that you could all be here. Yeah, go ahead, Joanne.
I just want to say, when we get off, to send a message to your sponsor, your upline, who you work with, and tell them your commitment that you're making, if you knew you couldn't fail goal. Share that so that they can help you stay accountable
Right.
and inspire and answer any questions. So, and if we shoot at nothing, we hit it every time. So I know a lot of times it's scary to say, okay, I'm going for this because it's like, oh, what if I don't? Well, last July, I said I was going to rank Sapphire because that was the last month to rank up and earn the extravaganza. And I announced it to my team. We didn't hit it, but we created some momentum that
Mm,
took us straight to Sapphire and then Diamond. So don't be afraid to be loud and proud about your goal
right.
and
Right. Speak it right
run
out.
run for it, you guys,
Oh,
because
this is awesome.
you'll be farther than you are today when we run for a new goal and you'll celebrate that.
I love that. Hasn't this been an awesome call? Oh my word. Yay. So thankful, Joanne, that you took the time for this tonight. And I know you were all, I could see you all, some of you were writing notes and going right crazy. So that was my final question that I was going to ask you to present to us a challenge, and you just answered it.
Oh, good.
You did. That's exactly
Good.
what I was going to ask. So get with your upline, your sponsor, whoever you're accountable to, and set that goal. And then work together, lock arms together, and just run. All
Amen.
right. Oh,
Lock
I love
arms
it.
and run.
Lock arms and run.
100%.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for
everyone.
having me.
Oh,
It
it was
was my
amazing, Joanne.
blessing.
Thank you
It was
so
a
much,
pleasure to
Joanne.
have you. All right. Good night,
Good
everyone.
night,
Bye. God
everybody.
Take care.
bless.
Bye
Bye.
bye.